No, yeah.
For you lovers out there,
Hola!
it is another episode of Ask Juan and Gee. And I'm G.
And I'm Juan.
And we want to thank you guys for joining us on another Tuesday at noon for another great question.
I'm glad we're able to keep up this schedule.
I know, 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
Let's see if we can do a full month. Big shout out to Gary Zukoff, who wrote the book Spiritual Partnerships. I don't know if you guys saw our post on yesterday about spiritual partnership, but this is a really good book to get. It's really helped us to hold each other accountable within our relationship and in our journey, our individual journey to self-awareness, I think. One of the things that I think with this book has really helped with me is that every conflict, I address it now from a spiritual aspect on what is the bigger picture. We always know it's not the particular incident at hand, but what's the bigger picture and what am I supposed to learn about myself out of that situation? So I think that this book is very helpful, and I definitely recommend it to all of you couples out there. And I also recommend it to some of you single lovers out there, because you don't have to have your romantic partner, or I should say your spiritual partner, does not have to be a romantic partner.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was that, to not take someone challenging you as someone being against you. One of the themes of spiritual partnership is to challenge each other to dig deeper, to understand why you're feeling a certain way, to understand what emotions are driving your actions. And I'm one that jumps on the defense automatically. But this book kind of helps me to realize, back up, okay, let it go. You don't need to be defensive all the time, because he's not challenging you from a negative space, it's from a positive space.
Right.
So,
well, you also have to make sure you trust somebody that they are doing that as well. I mean, it is definitely a commitment, because we can get caught in our ego really quickly sometimes, but I mean, this book is awesome, so get it.
Yep. All right, so moving on to this week's question. It's very interesting. This is a new kind of topic that we haven't discussed here on Love Work, and I think it's something that people in the gay community deal with often, but it's one of those silent killers. We never really talk about this topic, so I'm interested. Okay. The writer writes, 10 years ago, I pled guilty to a Class C nonviolent felony when I was 18 years old while in college at a large university. Through God's/the universe's grace, I was not expelled from my university, nor did I go to prison, and I was able to successfully double major in college, graduating magna cum laude. Okay, I have a lot of people, when they write in, they throw all of these accolades and materialistic items in the story before getting to the part, and I think that's it speaks to the psychological nature of it.
I mean, it's definitely insecurity, especially if it doesn't have to do with, well, I don't know, I read the question, so.
Currently, I'm 28-year-old, we digress a little bit, sorry. Currently, I'm 28 years old, second-year PhD student in mathematics, and have been currently seeing another PhD student at my university. We've been hanging out, dating for 8 months, and I like him a lot. To give you the Cliff's Notes version of our relationship, our personalities, sexual interests, and overall lifestyles in general are so congruent and compatible that I feel like I've dreamt this person up, and I know he feels 100% the same way. Herein lies the main issue. I haven't told him about my legal indiscretion. Not only have I not told him, I have hardly told anyone, not my friends, barely any of my family, because I'm ashamed beyond words to open up to anyone. How do you advise I approach this situation? I've done this in the past a couple of years ago, and it completely destroyed my relationship. My personal disposition is such that me trying to be forthcoming with this previous partner about my felony was met with laughter, utter dismay, and finally dissolution of the relationship. I would not like history to repeat itself with this current guy. I know I should be honest with him. He deserves it. We both deserve it. I want to go into a relationship with him fully transparent, but not with the risk that I'd be considered damaged goods by a relationship standard, which is understandable, but not quite fair in my opinion. Yes, I was guilty of the crime, and I was rightfully punished without impunity. However, not only have I been punished legally, but also academically and personally. It has been the most devastatingly pervasive issue in my life, and I think that I will always have to deal with for the rest of my life in some sort of fashion. Would you all date / love / be friends with someone who has a similar issue to mine? Please, please, please be honest and forthcoming with any thoughts and advice. Okay, so it's two kind of questions. What should he do about telling the partner? And then will we date somebody in that situation also?
Yes, I would. For one, I definitely would date somebody with a felony. I mean, I don't hold people's. Yes, I would. But you know, for me, the issue here is even before your partner. I mean, I don't even think the issue here is how do you tell your partner. Yes, that's an issue, but I believe the biggest issue here to get over is the question should be, how do I become comfortable with my past? Because it's clear that you're not comfortable with your past. You're so very ashamed of it. You're in the closet with your past, basically. And as long as you have that shame surrounding your past, you will never be able to enter into a relationship being fully secure with yourself. I mean, you've already been seeing this guy for 8 months now.
Right, that's a long time. So
that's a long time.
Like when he said, I don't want to enter into a relationship, I want to enter into a transparent. You've already entered into the relationship, and you're not transparent. So,
exactly.
So you need to kind of reframe those thoughts and how you're approaching it now.
Yeah, and then you even said, you know, this 8 months I dreamed up this guy, and I know he feels the same way. But he's dreaming up a guy that he doesn't really know everything about, which we obviously won't get to know everything about a person, within 8 months. But this is so big to you. You carry it on your shoulder. I'm sure it comes out in so many other ways. That insecurity plays out in so many other ways, I'm sure. And in getting into a relationship, if that is such a big insecurity of yours, it's going to cause so many issues in a relationship. So first things first, how do you become comfortable with what you did in the past?
That's precisely, that was my first thought, so I'm glad you mentioned that first.
Yeah.
It's like you need to forgive yourself, and I think you need to change the way you view felons. You know, it all starts on how we define something or someone, and so you're placing this negative stigma, this negative definition, this negative outlook on felons in general, and now you're a felon, so you're placing it on yourself, and that's where the shame comes in. That's from the fear of rejection. That's when all of these other negative aspects or negative things come into your life, and then it impacts relationships, it impacts your self-love, it impacts your family, your friends, all of that. So I think the first step is to kind of reframe what it means to be a felon these days, because we know you can do stupid stuff out there and be a felon, technically. So that's number one. Redefine how you're looking at that, from my opinion. That's the first step. And then you can work on forgiving yourself, because you're like, look, I'm a great person. Yes, I've done this. That doesn't mean I'm X, Y, and Z, all those negative stigmas that are attached to it. This is the new face of a felon, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, there really is no way to describe a felon. That's a individual person, so it's in every individual person. So like Juan said, forgive yourself, and you also need to, I hope you've found out what you've learned out of that situation. If you found out why you had to go through that situation of being a felon and the mistake you made, then I think that would help you come a little more comfortable being secure with your story. Like, I have a strong story.
It becomes a testimony.
Yes, this is where I came from. But so that tells me that maybe you haven't learned everything that you need to learn that situation, because you aren't comfortable for it. But if you have a story that you made it over, and I've been through this is what I've been through, and this is what I learned, you won't carry so much baggage around with that story. So nobody can shame you for anything that you're not already out of the closet with. So I don't care what the secret is. You can be a felon, you can, have some disease, or you can, have done anything.
Right.
Whatever it is that you're hiding is what's going to hold you back. So that you just need to accept what you have been through.
I just had thought, like, no one can open healed wounds. So if someone like the previous relationship that you mentioned, it was met with laughter and judgment and things of that nature, and that affected you, ultimately ending the relationship. Once you heal from that, no matter, they can laugh at you, they can do whatever, it won't affect you in the same way, because like G said, you're standing in your truth. You own it. Yes,
Right.
I did this, I did that. That's not me anymore. I paid for it. You know, I'm not paying for it again. Right now, you're paying for it over and over and over again. And why put yourself through that? I think that's number one. Well, number two, since I already gave it number one. But specifically, how do you address it with this new guy? Stop the dialogue in your head. Stop the dialogue first.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
We create these stories. He's not going to receive it. He's going to laugh. He's going to do this. I even sometimes have the argument in my head and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, this is so crazy. Who am I talking to? This is just some phantom person I've made up.
Well, I'm the phantom person in your head.
Right.
That's the argument. Well, I ain't going to argue about that thing. It ain't even been an argument yet.
Right. So stop that argument. Stop that dialogue and try to approach the situation from a clear head, a clear perspective. I think that's key. That's number one. But then it's just a matter of sitting down and telling them. Just let the words fall out of your mouth. Close your eyes even if you have to. But once you start talking, it gets easier and easier and easier. You become more comfortable, and then you're just having a conversation, not making a confession. You know, so just blurt it out if you have to. Like the Band-Aid, just rip it off. But
for me, I think the way you tell him is almost a lot in the ways that you told us. I think that it's okay to start the conversation off about this being very hard for you to tell him. It's a very insecure thing for you that you're still working through, and this is why you haven't told him for so long. Be completely honest about why you haven't told him. Let him know that you're insecure about it. Let him know that you're working on it, and tell him what it is. And I think that's the only way that you can really tell him. I mean, there is no secret. Write a letter or tell him verbally, but that's the way. That's the way I suggest you approach it. Approach it with vulnerability. That helps, guys. Please keep asking us. ask@juangee.com. I hope you are logging on to escapepr.com as well to go to Puerto Rico Memorial Weekend. We still have some couples retreats left, so please go on and log on. Check us out at Escape Puerto Rico.
And shout out to my girl, Brandy
from Be Amused, justbeamused.com for the t-shirt.
I do want to say for the Escape Puerto Rico trip, it's not a pride, okay? It's not a pride. I know a lot of couples out there, they're like, oh, I don't want to go to a pride. But it's not a pride event, so it's not going to be what you think a pride event is, like sex and blah, 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 and just
hopefully y'all won't have sex on your vacation.
Hypersexual. Well, you know what people categorize prides as. You know, it's a festival. I mean, it's a great getaway, a great time to kind of reconnect with your boo. So, and in Puerto Rico is beautiful anyway. So, go to escapepr.com and sign up today.
All right. See y'all next Tuesday.
Love you all.
Peace.
No.